Okay. Well, welcome to the
Yes.
What'd you say?
No, sorry, I had to click in. Thank
No,
you.
no worries. Welcome all to the June 10th, 2023 meeting of the Community Engagement and Communications Committee. This will be our last meeting of the year. And so it's been a good year. We'll go over some of those things, but we will start with our introductions. And Dr. I, you want to start?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Greenburgh community. I'm Dr. Iverson, the proud superintendent of Greenburgh Central School District. Good morning.
Ms. Horn?
Good morning. My name is Edith Horn. I'm the acting president for the PTA Council.
Okay. Mr. Warner?
I'm David Warner. I'm a board member and proud parent of a kid who started out in the district at age 5 and graduated from Woodlands, and now she's got a master's degree and a career and engaged to be married. So been here a while.
Very good.
And Ms. Johnson? I think Ms. Johnson's moving around, so she might not be able to introduce herself. But I am Jamal Thomas. I am the chair of this esteemed committee and board member here in Greenburgh. So thank everybody for those. I'm going to share my screen so that we can quickly adopt our meeting minutes from 5/17. You guys, what do you guys see?
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Oh no, this
Agenda.
is
There we go.
all right. Here we go. All right. So on Wednesday, May 17th, we met at Greenburgh Town Hall at 7 p.m., not at 11 p.m. 11 a.m. At Greenburgh Town Hall, our meeting was on the back of a very wonderful event, the art show. So we started by attendees were Dr. Iverson, Edith Horn, David Lease, Samantha Ives, and David Warner, and myself. So we went over the agenda, and then we did a quick review of the art show, which was
Samantha Ives there?
She was.
Yes.
Yes,
She came.
she sat next to me.
So we had a student art show. It was in Greenburgh's. We got pre-K through 12 art. We had some really talented kids in our district, and it was great. And that, just for anybody listening who has not seen it, I believe that the art is still up and available for the next couple of weeks and at Town Hall. So anybody can go and check for that. We made another announcement about the Nettie Jackson Award and requested judges for said award. We got some superintendent updates. There was a thank you for passing the budget. Congratulations to Erin Jacobson and Tracy Maz for their wins in terms of the school board. And we did an update on the newsletter list. I guess some people have not been receiving it, and we're working towards solving those challenges. And did a quick congratulations to Ashley Pineda, who will be leaving the board after the next meeting, I believe. There was a discussion around Edgemont's incorporation petition that David went over. There was a Saving Greenburgh event, and anybody who would like to find out more information on that, I thought I had put something here. Do we know exactly where people can go to find more information, David?
I know that I'm going to announce a Saving Greenburgh meeting in a couple of days from now. We can certainly do that.
All right, so yeah, we'll communicate that during this meeting. Dr. Iverson went over the college acceptances. Our students have been accepted to over 55 colleges and growing. So we have some bright scholars who are moving on to college. Mr. David Lease went over the rebuild of the website, and he's going to be looking for community members to help understand what we most want from those sites. He's going to be doing some surveys and communicating out with the community members. Some of that will be done through this committee. And he discussed the finishing of the project being in the 6 to 9 months arena. In terms of updates and news, there was a summer school at Highview was mentioned. Summer reading program was mentioned, and then the one device policy. We are going to be collecting devices for the summer so that we can reboot the program. There will be some things in place for folks who either need devices in the summer, whether it be for summer school or because they don't have access to devices at home. And then it was expressed that there was a concern around the low turnout for the budget vote. The budget did pass, but we're hopeful that in the future we can increase the number of people who come out and vote. So we had some discussions on how to do that. Does anybody see anything else that should be added or adjusted in the meeting minutes?
Mhm.
Content looks good. I wish I had an adjournment time, but I don't have it in front of me. Just a second.
I'm sorry, I do not have an adjournment time, for sure. I mean, I know the meeting was like 33 minutes, but I
There, you just add 33 minutes to the.
So adjournment.
7:33.
That's-
We started at 7. Yeah.
33 p.m. Okay, there we go. I move that we adopt Wednesday, May 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. Can I get a second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion?
Mhm.
Meeting minutes are adopted. I think that was one of my best Robert's Rule moments ever. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So for today, I just wanted to do like a quick, kind of year in review, some of the things that we, did and went over, or that went on during the course of the school year, and then see if anybody has anything they want to either A, mention with regards to any of them, or B, something that we want to think about, for next year related to these particular events. So homecoming game, that was incredible. We did go ahead and win that game. I was there with a number of the other trustees, helped out on the grill a little bit that day. That was definitely fun. So hopefully we can do some of that next year as well. Anybody have any thoughts around, better engaging the community around the homecoming game for next year?
Yes, absolutely. Let me chime in on that. So we have begun planning already. And with the spirit of doing just what you said, Trustee Thomas, making sure this homecoming does combine the community or engage the community, even all of our schools at a broader scope. We're approaching the work from a lens that, the high school we know, and this is everywhere, any district where there's one high school, that high school becomes the central focal point of the community that does just that, engages the community, brings everyone together. And ultimately, we know the high school is where all our students eventually matriculate. That's where they all end up going. So they come through all the schools, but the high school is that last stop. So we really want to take that theme into the fall. So Mr. McCoy, working with me and Dr. Macaluso, has begun planning, coming up to present to us a comprehensive plan that will engage all key stakeholders and our students at all levels. Some of the things that are right now not carved in stone that we're thinking of doing is something like athlete walk, for lack of an expression or term. We haven't coined the phrase yet, but what we're talking about here is not just for football and homecoming, but for every sports and season, to expose our students at the lower level to those sports by having the athletes themselves at some point scheduled during the season to walk through those elementary schools in their uniforms. So for homecoming, since we're specifically talking about that, having the football players in their gear prior to homecoming, going down, scheduling the date and time for them to just go visit. And it's called an athlete walk. They just walk the halls. The students come out with their teachers there out the door and just kind of start that exposure, that awareness to that, say, third grader who wants to be a football player, has been watching football games and now sees a football player, true high school level, but just to connect that and motivate and encourage. So that's something new we're looking to install. And we're going to do something like that again around next year, around graduation. having our seniors go down to the schools in their caps with just their gowns. Once they get their gowns, like right now, they have their gowns probably for the commencement, and have them put them on and walk through the halls so students again can see all of that aspiration, all that motivation, connecting them to that. So those are things we're planning as well. The uniforms, new uniforms have been ordered for our football team, and we're looking, I think basketball, but I can confirm that. And we're looking for activities against that will engage our elementary students in the actual game and some of those pre-homecoming activities. So stay tuned. I hope to have, this is our last meeting, but we're meeting now, and by the fall before homecoming, we probably will have a meeting, but you'll start hearing about through flyers and announcements and on a website. Homecoming is up by September when we start, and those activities will be listed. I will say to the community to stay tuned, watch the website as we develop that plan, and that most of these activities, once they're fully developed, will of course be presented and shared with the board first. So what I shared today is just preliminary thoughts. They've not been confirmed, but I wanted to make the point that yes, we are trying to address that connection even more broadly. But once those activities have been approved and the board has had an opportunity to hear about them and weigh in, they will be finalized and they'll be on the website by the fall, but look for something more comprehensive.
I mean, I absolutely positively love a lot of the ideas that you just alluded to, and definitely look forward to connecting around them. Something that popped into my head, it was just, even like for the homecoming game, like sometimes when you go to a game ahead of the game or at halftime or after, you'll have like, kind of like a peewee version of the game, something with little kids. So, maybe there's like a quick 10-minute flag football or something like that for the opportunity for some of the kids, or some, cheerleading for some of the younger kids,
Yes,
things
okay.
that
I love that.
their parents to the game as well, and support the overall community. So
I do love that. I wrote that down. I love that. And of course, we're going to increase vendors there. It's not really tailgating maybe, but more vendors around, community vendors to be there, and get them to buy in and get a space, put in their facilities for them so they can come and share their product or that connects to the schools to get that partnership going. So more of a global approach. So we're beginning that talking now.
Got it. So I guess dads take his kids to work day. Is there a moms take your kids to work day as well?
Yes, I think so. Go ahead. Were you saying something with someone else?
I was just.
Yeah, I don't remember. This past fall was one or the other. I don't know if it was both, but I do know what group did come. The other group said, why not us? So This year we're going to have it for both. So if there's dads, there's going to be moms. And we're going to change the term, because a parent can be anyone. It can be a grandmother, it can be an aunt, it's whoever that person identifies as that key person in their life, who they identify as the person taking care of them, or who they just want to bring. We're going to get rid of the titles and kind of make it more generic.
Okay, understood. I did go over and I left the
link here. Kids to work, period. Okay.
Sorry?
Take your kids to work, period.
Just come. Yeah.
Got it. I had went over earlier in the year, schools as community infrastructure. That was a document that kind of spoke to the idea of schools being the center of the community. I hope that we can, kind of look and think more in that direction as time goes along. And, with the strategic plan discussions, some of those things were included in our overall discussions around the strategic plan. We also talked quite a bit about our international baccalaureate program and the connection to community engagement there. So we look forward to continuing to working with Ms. Adore and the rest of that team on ways to continue to engage the community through these school programs. We had the high school scholarship fund and the flea market associated with that. There was the Harlem Wizards game, which turned out really well. I played terribly, but the game was fun. There was STEAM Family Night. We got there was a Black History Month series at the library. We did go through. Did somebody want to say something about any of those? Okay. We began the process of updating our committee charges. Many of those are coming up in the coming weeks. They were passed along to our government relations committee, and those things are being worked through. One of the big parts of this
I
year.
should mention at that point that we have a strategic plan now. We have a 5-year strategic plan that has now been adopted by the board. So we can go back and work off of that and compare our charges to the things that have been set for our 5-year goals.
Mhm.
Got it.
That's
Got it.
And if I could piggyback on that, that's right on point. And so as we now the board has adopted it, this becomes our work over the next 5 years. So what we live and breathe will be what's in that plan in terms of supporting those goals and objectives and actions that we have detailed there. In the spirit of that, we've begun already with just that. I've begun to start meeting with key people who will help bring some of the actions we've identified for professional development for our teachers and staff. Those conversations have begun. So I can then be able to share with the board how we're going to roll this out. So this is how we're going to address this. We've begun talking about that, and more specifically around Superintendent Conference Day, what will be on that agenda as it connects to the strategic plan. And in that plan, if you remember, in the area of community and engagement, we talked about safe and healthy climate. It kind of goes through all the threads, and even premier workforce. We talked about rolling out some initiatives that will connect all of that, and restorative practice. And just as you, the trustees on the call know about that, I think I shared a little bit about that in the board meeting, because we've already had our first leg of training on that, 45 people, key leaders, counselors, social workers, psychologists, members representing each of those stakeholder groups, security. We have begun and gotten our first level of training on that. So in the fall, Superintendent Conference Day, we will begin those discussions with staff. And then throughout the year, everyone will be trained, but only they can only do, because you do circle work. You actually sit in circles and do a lot of that. So we did a lot of that in our training. So you can understand why the being able to manage numbers is important. They won't train. And we do have a vendor that we've contracted with to come in and do this work. They won't train more than 45 at a time. And we can understand why. So, we're looking at October 4th as a PD day. And then you need time for them to practice it before the 2nd. So then January, the next PD day in January will be the last time. But everyone on the 4th in groups of 45 will get the training we got already, but we will roll it out to them until October. And then every teacher will get it. I want to say proudly, though, as we got into the training, it became very apparent to me and many there, as we have been engaged in this work. There are circles really happening already in our schools, especially at the high school and all the schools. Some of the things we learned, counselors, psychologists, teachers who were there could articulate what they were already doing in their building. So that was good. Just want to make sure I note that it's new that we're getting a formal training, but we have had a level of that already. So we're just going deeper with that. So that strategic plan will lead us. That's our driving force. It's the driver of what we do, and we've begun working on that. DEI, my last point, very heavily in our strategic plan. So we will begin that level of awareness and raising consciousness around culturally responsive education, sustaining education for all of our teachers and faculty and staff, and around how that looks through our systems and structures and our practices, how it is somehow can be implicit and explicit in terms of how we're missing or missing the mark, so that we become better educators. Because the better we get, and I've said this to the staff, this has been my, I've been consistent in this message since coming. I do believe, and I know this works, the better adults get in the system, the better students will be, or the better they will do. And so we get better, we learn more, we practice this, it will, and then translate it into our instruction and our practices and our systems, even our thought processes in terms of how we make decisions, being more equitable, around our thought process that we probably inadvertently over years are not even aware we're missing some marks. We become better as a district, as a staff, as a faculty, and our students it will ultimately translate into higher student achievement. So it's really the beauty of it is very encouraging for me. I really have a lot of passion around that, and I'm very excited around where we're going.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. I. And I'll just quickly mention that those, the DI and the restorative practices, those things that you mentioned, that there are a lot of linkages to both of them, and on a day-to-day basis, I am in front of schools and stuff, and some of the more innovative and schools that are having the best turnaround stories, a lot of that is happening as a result of the shift in culture that happens by walking through a process where you sit in a circle with folks and understand who did what to who and how and when and what the ways are to repair whatever the challenges are that happen with people. And so when that becomes a part of the spirit of a school community,
yes,
those school communities can significantly improve. And I look forward to that continuing to be the case here in Greenburgh.
We are too. And my last point, and it will ultimately help our suspension rates. So you will see less of that because we're learning, the kids will be learning better how to peacefully coexist, how to express and give that voice to what happened. We really were giving the actual script for a circle, for when you pull a teacher or two students together, this is the language you use. It's called effective language. That's the term they called it. So when we roll it out in September, we're going to start with that. And they did stress, and I want to be, so the community who's listening, the circle piece comes around October. Before you can get people in circles and start talking about what happened and getting that process, you have to build that community first. So the first part will be that teaching that effective language, how you become welcoming, and that's also aligned to the strategic plan around this, the New York State framework, where it said 4 principles of how you roll this out starts with building a community and a welcoming environment. Something Trustee Thomas, I know you've been very supportive of, and that. So we're going to start there. By October, they get into the actual learning of the circles. But what you need to know is that all the principals have been informed by me in their schedules now as they're building it to build in time for these circles to happen. So the structures will be there, then we'll know what to do. I know this will translate into even lower numbers of in discipline as we build that culture around responsible behavior, but meet their health needs, their social emotional needs, what they bring to school, who they are. They come to us like they are home. We have to be able to meet them where they are. The circles will be able to do that. And so I'm very excited about it. And the training was excellent. I can't wait for the staff to be able to see it.
Thank you for that, Dr. I. Up next, we had our WISE 50th anniversary. That was a incredible event. I continue to be, I guess, proud of the fact that this district is where WISE started and where it came from. And I know we have had discussions around expanding the program, working with it more, and having more kids involved in the program. And I look forward to seeing that continue as well. We've gone through the energy performance contract. Dave, that you probably certainly be the better person to speak to that than I.
Okay, so the energy performance contract, we're at the point now where we're working on the submission to New York State Education Department. So we got it approved. The thank you to the voters. There is no cost to the program. Basically, between subsidies and energy savings and cogeneration from solar panels we're going to put out in the football field, we're going to it pays for itself, and it improves a lot of things that probably have needed to be helped for a while, and it lessens our carbon footprint and makes things better all around on both from an environmental perspective, and we get a lot of things fixed up in terms of our heating processes and insulation and everything that needs to be, and our lighting. and everything that needs to be done to make us more efficient. So I'm happy with that. We're on schedule at the moment. You should see more after the summer.
Thank you. And then the other couple of things of note, both are in the kind of art area, was the Fame play, which was again just spectacular. I was so proud of our young people for what they put together. I kind of was just coming like, hey, I'm here from Greenburgh, I'm on the board, I should be supportive, and it turned out like I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, there wasn't any place else I'd rather be that afternoon than watching the kids do a really, really incredible job at that. So we have some talented young people here in Greenburgh, and I just thank you to the teachers and everyone who did such an incredible job at getting them prepared. Go ahead, David.
I might want to make a suggestion. In the past, we've had the Black Box Theater program going. At the same time, we also have the spring musical. So you did the controversial, hard-hitting stuff in the Black Box Theater. Sometimes kids wrote their own plays. We brought in things that were, at a very high level, and then we had like the rated G stuff for everybody. So I think what we did with Fame is we kind of combined the two in one. We may want to expand and get that Black Box Theater going. I'm not sure where we are on that, but that's an idea. Please put it in the notes.
If I remember correctly, isn't there something? It needs to be fixed or something, correct?
We moved a bunch of people into various office spaces in the high school as a result of shutting down the mansion. But I think the Black Box itself, I think we could still use it. Is there a problem with that, Dr. Iverson?
We are in the Black Theater. You talking about when you call it the Black Box Theater? Are you talking about the little theater?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
because it is dark.
You got that office complex around it with all the business offices now. But is there an auditor sitting in there, or we can still use it, right?
We can still use it. I use it for different things. Yes.
Great.
But yes, when the auditor is here, they may use it for spacing, but it's no one permanently in their room. It's empty now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that idea. I know. I mean, when I was there, we put on like shows in the little theater, and it just has a whole. There's a vibe, to it that's even more. I guess you can't fit as many people as with the auditorium, but there's just a whole. It feels a little bit more like Broadway or something, just the way
Broadway,
that is set up. And then lastly was the art show, which I mentioned in the meeting minutes. Again, incredible what the young people have done.
275 to 300 people crowded into the halls. Hard for the kids from kindergarten through 12th grade. Yeah, wonderful. We have that band performing in the back. The hors d'oeuvres, everybody got to mix and match. You made a nice speech on why art is important. Yeah, nice spring way of showing off what our kids can do, and the art will be there, as you said. It's still there right now, so people beyond just our district can see all the wonderful things our kids have done.
Thank you. Next up, I wanted to quickly make an announcement. I've shared.
Wait. You may want to talk about the Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award.
I thought I had that a little bit later, but.
Okay. I can't.
Nope, I didn't. I don't have it on here. So apologies. So right now, what is happening for the Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award is our judges are taking a look at the various different submissions, and they're going to be making decisions on our winners. Nettie Jackson was a very proud, community member who went, above and beyond in our district. And every year we award folks who show that same spirit here in the district. And over the course, I believe by the time, Dr. Iverson, when do we? Will it be the next meeting or the meeting after that we're able to?
Yes, so we have our reading. That's one of my homework assignments. And I understand it's next week. You talking about the meeting where it's next week. I don't have the date, but it's on my calendar. It's next week where the judges get together and announce the winners.
Okay. So yeah, so
pick the winners.
Pick the
Say that
winners.
again?
Okay.
Pick the winners, and then we have our next meeting is on the 20th, and we'll be able to announce the winners then.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then where'd I go? I wanted to also announce that the Earn Your Leisure, some young men from Greenburgh who are doing fantastic work around financial literacy and entrepreneurship, inspiring people all across the world, really now, in those areas. They Greenburgh's own, and big shout to Mikey, Rashad, to Troy, to Abdullah, all of which spent time in Greenburgh schools. They did a scholarship, and the winners are as follows. Each of these people are going to get $1,000 scholarship for college next year. That's Antonella Delgado, Armando Esguerra, Jeremy Morton, Christina McKenney, and Janelle Treasure. So congratulations to the winners of the scholarship award. I have a feeling that this will be something that they do year in and year out, and as they grow and continue to grow, those numbers on the scholarship will probably grow as well. So thank you to those guys for the hard work and what they've done. Up next, pass it over to David for a discussion around the Phase 2 bond and Edgemont Incorporation.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the air. Is it okay if I do the air quality piece first?
Sure.
Okay. Earlier this week, the DEC issued air quality alerts because smoke from Canadian wildfires raised the air quality index to unhealthy levels throughout New York State. At Greenburgh CSD, our superintendent suspended all outdoor student activities as of June 7th. Fortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have MERV 13 filters in our HVAC systems and air purifiers in our classroom. I know you went out and made sure we got those from the county. That was great. So our indoor school air quality was probably better than that in most home environments, and we kept our schools open. As the weekend approached, the wind shifted and outdoor air quality improved. To the best of my knowledge, the high school trip to Six Flags last night was not canceled. Am I correct?
That's correct. I saw the students boarding the bus, and we continue with that, as well as Trustee Warner. RJ Bailey had their sort of field day, like most elementary schools have, and she and I talked all that morning. We were watching the weather. By midday, before it started, before the day began, we got another message that the governor had ruled that it was better, that the air quality was okay for them to go out. So they went out and successfully had a nice day, as well as Highview had kicked off their reading program, the summer reading program. He does that outside, and he was able to hold that as well. So those two activities went on as scheduled.
Good. So crisis averted for the moment.
Yes.
Yes, for the moment. I'm going to share some information on the air quality issue, mainly from the EPA, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Governor Hochul's office, and a little bit from CBS News. We are not accustomed to severe wildfire air pollution problems. Per EPA.gov, we had 324 good air quality days in 2022, 41 moderate quality days, and 0 unhealthy or hazardous days. So all last year, none of this kind of stuff happened. You can go back further years if you want. It's not what we're used to. So why did this problem happen now? And is it likely to happen again? There's a drought in Canada, so there's more dry timber to burn. The average temperature has increased, so there are more thunderstorms with lightning strikes starting fires. So it's global warming stuff. The jet stream is a strong set of upper atmosphere winds that move from the west to the east and normally minimize the number of days with a north wind. The jet stream is powered by the difference in temperature between the equator and the poles. So it's cold at the North Pole and hot at the equator, so you get these strong winds. As the world has gotten warmer, the Arctic regions have warmed up more than the equator, so the temperature difference is smaller. So the jet stream is getting weaker. Those winds aren't what they used to be. We're now more likely to have a high pressure zone along the East Coast that just sits there and remains stationary. And that allows wind from the north to bring smoke from fires down to us along the eastern seaboard. So as long as global warming persists, it's more and more likely for this to happen. The wildfires in Canada are still burning. Wildfire season usually continues through October. sort of like hurricane season, right? And may go a little longer because Canada's warmer than it was. Our local air has only cleared because the wind is not blowing to the south at the moment. So yes, air quality issues may become a more frequent occurrence. If you have a supply of leftover COVID masks, don't throw them away. They will help protect you from particulate matter found in smoke if we have another incident. New York City and Yonkers school districts closed earlier this week due to air quality issues. Do we have policies and procedures in place in case we need to do the same? For Board Policy 3510, emergency school closings, the superintendent determines whether to close schools for existing or predicted weather conditions after consulting with weather and administrative authorities and other surrounding districts. For related procedures, you may want to look at the district-wide school safety plan, which is up for review on the district website for the next 30 days. Under the menu item, About Us, just look for district-wide safety plan. Look at the topic on early dismissal and emergency closing. I think we've got it covered, but if somebody sees something else that needs to be in there, let us know. Where can we learn more about air quality? airnow.gov, AIRNOW.gov. Look it up on your phone, you look it up on your computer. It's an air quality information partnership between the CDC, the EPA, and various national and state agencies in the US, Canada, and Mexico. airnow.gov will provide you with a dashboard for your local air quality updated to the hour based on your zip code. You just go in, type in your zip code, and it'll tell you if the air quality is good. You know, am I in the green, which is good? Am I in the red, which is bad? And there are colors in between. Right. It also has information on air quality index categories, what pollutants are covered by the index, and some historical data. Additional data and background information is available on EPA.gov. Some is at environment dec.ny.gov, and the governor's alert is on governor.newyork.gov. And information on the scope of the smoke issue I pulled off of cbsnews.com. So that's that. Does anybody have any questions that I can take back to people with more expertise than me on this? Okay, good. All right, so then on to the phase 2 construction project. Over the past year, we've begun work on a number of projects in our efforts to improve our facilities. And I need to show you a few pictures so you can get an idea of the things we've been doing in the past year or two. Is there a way I can share my screen?
Should be able to. I
Okay.
understand.
You should, your co-host.
Yeah, okay, good. So now let's see, can I get to it? I see it. That's the one I want. Share. Okay, so you may have seen some of this at the last board meeting, but we had some troubles with the recording on that. So let's see. This is the projects completed and in progress from Lisa Raymond and Dennis Pugliese. Okay, so the mansion, can you see it?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. So capital construction phase 1, roof and attic window replacement. So you know that we are required to have the mansion be weather tight. And so we put a new roof on it, and we're at the point now where we're putting gutters on it and trying in the process of that to stop the soil erosion on the backside of the mansion. But you can see, you know, once they got the roof on, now they're putting windows in and they're putting gutters around the edges. The early childhood program main building, the floors did not look like this before, but they were old and had asbestos in them. And so we stripped off some of the floors, leveled everything out and put new tile in. And this is part of the ECP main building. You've got a before and after pictures here. The early childhood program main building, the sidewalks out where the kids get on and off the buses. So we widened that and repaved that. The stairs, there are steps around the exterior of the building that were kind of decrepit, and we started fixing them up. You can see the poured version in the center there. Playground roof canopies, I think we just repainted those.
Yes.
So we've got relatively new playground equipment everywhere. So we're pretty happy there. We just have to keep it maintained.
And those are brand new. Trustee Warner, those are new. We took down the old ones and those are new.
Okay.
We didn't repaint them.
And we also put a fence. You can't see it in this picture, but there's a new fence back along the tree line behind that. The Highview Elementary School, part of capital construction phase 1. Since Highview had its air quality in better shape, its ventilation in better shape than other schools. We were able to replace the roof on the east wing. You've got a couple of pictures here. The picture in the center is people moving the materials onto the roof. You can see on the left that they were in the process of putting the new roof on. And on the right here, you see you're on the east side. Looking at the far end would be the parking lot. And the closer end where it's all white, that's the new roof. So that part is complete. We're happy with that.
Mhm.
Inside the building, we had some nice glass around the outside of the gym, but it wasn't fire rated. So we had to replace that. So that's what all these whiteboard things in the hallway are. And this is what on the left there is what it looks like from inside the gym. There's an emergency access. You may remember we moved the nurse's office over to one side of the building. It's such that if you needed to enter or exit either for emergency purposes or back when you had COVID, if you figured out you had COVID and wanted to enter and leave the building the back way, we just had to repave that driveway so you could get wheelchair access and get up there. So that's been fixed. Lee F. Jackson Elementary Schools, you probably have seen this. We did this, I guess, last summer. So the old asbestos tile hallways were replaced with these nice new tiles for the corridor. Lee F. Jackson, if you went down to the playground area, there were some benches that had seen better days, and we replaced the wood on all of those. R.J. Bailey Elementary School, we have a process of fixing up classroom floors. So if you see the stuff on the right, then it's what it looks like now that we've done this, and we do this with a few classrooms every year, and so we strip off the old tile and put in a nicer floor. And then just a second. R.J. Bailey Elementary School capital construction project. Okay, so when we had the ventilation problems, well, we needed to have our old buildings, which are legally grandfathered to whatever the air quality standards were when they were built, but COVID did not care. So we made all of our ventilation, brought it all up to code, all up to as if they were new buildings, the level of ventilation. And in some cases, we had to do it with window fans, okay? For R.J. Bailey, we had a lot of window fans. And so now what we're doing is we're putting in permanent units which not only cause there to be ventilation and last for a good long time, but they also preheat the air. So that's about $3 million worth of units, because every classroom, the way it was designed, had an individual unit. So we're now in the process of putting in the slots on the outside of the walls. There's and you have an example here on the right-hand side of where we place the units, and you'll go into a classroom and look up on the ceiling. And and that's where it's placed for that classroom, so that you don't have to interact with it too much, but it will provide preheated and ventilated air. We're in the process of installing those things now, and we hope to get done over the course of the summer. R.J. Bailey Elementary School, some of the steps needed to be fixed up. The auditorium, we have $500,000 worth of grants from Tom Abenanti's office while he was still in office. We went ahead and pulled all of the seating and pulled all the asbestos containing tiles out of the auditorium, so it's ready to be fixed up. Then we made sure that we got enough money together to fix up the rest of it, and submitted our process request to NYSED. I'm happy to say the New York State Education Department has to approve of our plans before we can go forward, and they have approved. So now we can go forward, we can hire people, you go out to bed, and we can do the rest of this. So we expect things to look a little different by the time the summer's over.
Yes.
I won't say we'll be finished, but we'll be well along.
Mhm.
R.J. Bailey Elementary School gymnasium, there were problems with there were soft spots in the floor. And the floor needed to be replaced, so we replaced the whole thing. So you've got on the left-hand side, taking out the old floor and what it looked like underneath. Then you've got the in the middle, you've got where we just put the planks down, and then the product. down, and we got the final finish here on the right-hand side with our Falcon logo and all that. Woodlands Middle High School, there were various areas for safety concerns where the concrete had decayed, and we fixed them. Steps, very important, right? Woodlands Middle High School gymnasium. Again, the same process, only larger. And so that nice floor that you played the Harlem Wizards basketball game on was what we took care of last summer. So we're proud of that. There was hairpin turn if you were trying to get down to the gymnasium, and so we widened the road and opened it out, and you can see the little bit of tar path, but mostly it was getting the road wider. So that's fixed. I think there may be some more things we want to do, but for now that's good. The Morton House. Once our custodian moved out of it, it began to decay, and everything we did to try and keep it in place was no good. So we took it apart. So that this is the demolition of the Morton House. Then our transportation building, the boiler gave out, the furnace process gave out. So we replaced all of it with a new furnace. So there's what it looked like before and after we got done. Other projects on the way. The Woodlands Middle High School vestibule. We finally got the Smart School money back from New York State. We went out to bid. We got a bunch of equipment lined up, and then we had problems with our vendor. So we're in the process of switching vendors, and we hope to go forward with construction over the summer, keeping our fingers crossed. R.J. Bailey Elementary School playground, Highview Elementary School playgrounds. We fixed those up and did a number of replacement projects on those. So you see one here in the picture on the right. The equipment you see out there now in the R.J. Bailey playground is part of a recent project. Same thing we just talked about, the new stuff at the early childhood program at Lee F. Jackson. There's also a separate playground unit for the ECP kids. We did boiler repairs. We replaced both boilers at Woodlands High School. R.J. Bailey exterior masonry lintels. This is before Dennis Pugliese got here. Two things you want to do. You want to fix up the roofs, and you want to fix up the outer walls to keep the water out. So we did a bunch of masonry work. If you look at along the top of the R.J. Bailey outside walls, especially on the back. Capital construction phase 1 ventilation. That was the stuff we showed you where we're putting all those units into R.J. Bailey. And the energy performance contract, as I said, it was approved by the voters on January 17th. No additional cost to the district. And the submission is about to go to the New York State Education Department. And our energy performance contract, it's RWE now, was consolidated as Edison Solutions. They're going forward. So all good. Okay. So let's look. Projects and capital interfund transfers and legislature grants. Woodlands Middle High School gym completed. We saw it. Bailey Roof Auditorium completed. Bailey Auditorium interior work ongoing. R.J. Bailey gym completed. Highview 3rd grade windows and walls. We've got the secret process is approved for that. We want to have openable windows on the 3rd grade wing so that you don't have to like open and close the doors. We've got kind of an open campus situation there. So for safety, we want to do that. Woodlands Middle High School track. We're working on phase 2 for that. Woodlands Middle High School fire hydrants. The SECRA document just came in. So we're going to have an approval at our next board meeting so we can put new hydrants in at Woodlands and up the water pressure on the whole entire Warburg campus, and some bathroom repairs. ECP, we're waiting for it to be summer so that the little kids who can't easily go to a different bathroom won't be in the building, so we can fix it all and we're good. Which brings us to, I know this was long, the phase 2 project. And let me see if I can, just a second, show you a little something. I've got to share something different with you. Okay. That's not it. Should be right here. Can you see
Not
a
yet.
document with air quality stuff on it?
No.
It says you started to share your screen. You started screen sharing, but it's just a black screen.
Great. Okay, so I'll talk to you. This is you just got a black screen.
Yeah.
It does say double click to enter full screen mode on my end. Do you see that, Trustee Warner, on the screen? It says to double click to enter full screen mode. So maybe that's why it's not sharing. I don't know.
All right, let me try one more time. And if I can't, I can't. Anything?
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, good. So the phase 2 construction project, okay? So we did the energy performance, we talked about the energy performance contract, everything upstream. At our 6-6 work session, the Board of Education discussed options for items to be included in our upcoming phase 2 construction project. So we have this giant set of like $89 million worth of things wrong with our district, and some of the highest priority items are our roofs. Our roofs are old, our roofs have a tendency to leak. We need to fix up our roofs. So we've done a little bit of stuff. We did one wing of Highview. The RJ Bailey Auditorium project will take up, we'll fix the part of the roof that's over the auditorium at Bailey, but everything else is kind of in sad shape, okay? So that's the big priority, and we don't have quite enough reserves to do it without going to bond. So what are we gonna do there, okay? At our 6-6-23 work session, the Board of Education discussed options for items to be included in our upcoming phase 2 construction project, how much of our reserves to dedicate to the project, and a maximum amount to be included in a construction bond vote. We polled the board with 6 options based on whether to fund the track and tennis courts separately and how much of our repair reserve fund to draw down. The chosen option was to combine roofs, track, and tennis courts, because we have some money coming in from the state to fix up our track, about $500,000 in one project, and draw down our reserves by $3.5 million to lessen the amount of the bond. So the bond is smaller than the project. And the results look like this. And this is the chart I was trying to show you. So you've got the Lee F. Jackson roof for $2.4 million. Highview, the west side, the side closest to the parking lot, for $3.1 million. RJ Bailey north side roof, $1.2 million. The Woodlands roofs, $5,250,000. The 8-lane version of the track, $1,175,000. The tennis courts, $500,000. Our tennis courts are at the point now where we can't. There's nothing you can do to fix them up. You have to pull everything out and rebuild them from scratch. Okay, so in order, we got a tennis team to have actual working tennis courts. We need to do this. Okay. The funding that we came up with outside of the bond is to transfer from the repair reserve to the capital reserve. That's $3.5 million. The track grant from Senator Cousins' office. Thank you, Andrea Stewart Cousins, $500,000. So we have $4 million that we can knock off this $13 million thing. So down here at the bottom, project cost $13,625,000 minus $4 million worth of funding means we need to go to bond for $9,625,000. So the a formal bond resolution is being drafted for passage by the Board of Education at an upcoming meeting. We've checked on the availability of voting machines and anticipate a public vote on October 17th of this year. So every chance we get, we need to tell everybody that this is what we want to do, and take any public feedback we can. again, we expect to have a formal vote on this very soon. A vote to put the thing on the ballot. So
Trustee
Yeah.
Warner, can I interject there before you get to the Edgemont Corporation?
Sure.
Because you made a very good point around, we got it, once the board does adopt the resolution and it's official, and then we've already begun in my cabinet and I shared it with Trustee Warner, some of the strategies that we're going to be putting in place to communicate and get the word out and just assure that everyone knows about it and has an opportunity to vote on it. So to increase that probability of the successful bond passing. So do you mind if I share that, Trustee Warner?
Go right ahead.
I need to share the screen a little.
Sure,
Can
so
you
I need to
let me
stop
share, then
sharing
you come back?
My screen so you can share yours. Okay.
All righty, so, and why I'm sharing it, because this committee, I will be bringing it to this committee to see what pieces, okay, where am I? Here I am, right here. Share, I've gotten better at this. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
All righty, so this is a full proposal we put together that we will ultimately, it has to go through the board. The resolution has to be passed, and then FinFac, who weighs in, has been doing much of this work, meeting consistently over projects. I want to share with them too, but for the purpose of this committee, here's some brainstorm ideas we've already thought about. So certainly we will build a website that will be devoted to this, that gives voters detailed information on the issue. We know it has to be something they can click on. So once this is approved and it's a go, we will start that. We talked about campaign signs and / posters, of course, put campaign signs in supporters' yards and posters in high traffic locations, such as in post offices and all along Central Avenue and every other places. Speaking engagements, including me, including Lisa Raymond, including, just with civic groups in the community everywhere. In fact, we are going to, and we won't be sharing, I can't share much of this until the resolution, because I take my direction from the board, but I have this week a meeting with the Stone Oaks Association. I just kind of stay in touch with the associations in these high areas where there's a population of residents who don't have students in our school, who really we need to vote for whatever we put on the ballot, whether it's our budget or bond. And I'm just going there to give them updates on what's going on in the district, keeping them abreast. And that's this week coming up. That will be that's what I mean by speaking engagement at churches and so forth. We're going to organize a voter registration drive. A registration drive that allows the district to recruit newcomers who don't vote and potential supporters who might not otherwise vote because they don't know. We're going to do something very creative and drastic. We're going like that. Door-to-door canvassing we put here because we know simple word of mouth campaigning makes a difference, especially in reminding voters to get out to the polls. We saw it with presidential elections and all senators running. You have to walk the pavement. We'll talk more about that. Telephone committee, another way to poll voters in the community, as well as to inform them about the bond issue. So, we haven't developed how it's going to look, but these were our brainstormed ideas. Direct mail, of course. We've done that with our newsletter and budget flyers. We will continue that. That's not new. And we're going to use the media to get the message out when and where possible. And so open to any other strategies you have. This committee would love to send to me, but I will, once the resolution is passed and it's a really go, we will then start building out how this looks, and I will bring into this committee seeking support on one or more of these, in terms of, it may be at the telephone committee, just being able to call when you can in your schedule, voters, residents, to just, hey, do you know about the bond on the ballot for Greenburgh? And we'll give them the scripts, some facts quickly, but every way we're going to try to look at it, because from my experience in previous districts and what I know, you see, I have campaigned. I know that is the key to bonds passing, the communication. You need to have the information, which Trustee Warner shared, but it means nothing if you don't campaign. And that's where most bonds fail, when the communication is not clear. So we wanted to get ahead of some ideas before we knew the board had voted to pass and do a bond. And so we've begun that work already. So that's all I wanted to share to this committee. And I will stop sharing now unless there's some comments or questions.
I would just quickly say that what was it? Oh, students might, be amongst our, best advocates, particularly, the team. If we get the students who are on the track team and the students who are on the tennis team to really rally support, first with other young people, and have everybody kind of agree to, whether it's weekends or evenings or whatever, like, we have there being a couple of days where they go out knocking doors, where they go out on the phone and maybe it's done in conjunction with the teachers, something where, it really, there is the whole community coming together to rally the troops around this support important initiative.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Students aren't here because we thought about that. We just haven't framed how, because you have to be careful having students walk the pavement, knocking on doors. They will have to, if be with an adult. We have to make sure we use them in a way where it's safe and that and just safe, and that their parents are comfortable with. We did think students around how we can use them and what will be the level we can bring them in. So, and I agree, it would be excellent if, say, the track members themselves are out there, but again, they're not under anyone's control when that's happening, and we're still responsible if they're even doing this on the weekend. So we have to make sure we frame that and develop that in a way where we don't put them in a position where they could be even knocking on a door where someone's upset that you're talking to me about the bond. So we have to, we probably will use them in a way, and we will find a way that we can. Maybe, and I will say this lastly, you probably know, if you don't, I am forming a superintendent student advisory council next year. I've started that process already. In my weekly update message that's been going home, I talked about it, parents all got it. And what happened is those students who were interested, well, I sent a survey to all the students first, and it was to get their perceptions around some climate issues in the district. That data is being tabulated through the Handover Research Company, which we have a partnership with. But on that survey at the very end was one last question about where I said, I'm interested in doing what I just said to you. If you are interested, give me your name, because it was an anonymous survey getting their data. But now I'm saying, if you want to be on my committee and interested, I need your name. And so I had 125 students across grades, 5 through 12, to sign up, and their name, their school, their grade. From that data, I then looked at all the submissions. If I didn't have complete information on you, because name means first and last, if you just put JoJo, I didn't know who you were. We just eliminated you. So it got down to about 100 kids. And so from there, all of those 100 students received from me personal folders delivered to them in their buildings with their names on the outside. Inside was my cover letter. Thank you very much for your interest. From the survey, you indicated you were, thank you. Your next piece is to send me a 300-word essay, which is really 3 paragraphs. And that sounds like a lot, but when you count the words, it's about why you want to be on this council, what can you contribute, and describe your leadership skills. So they had a week to do that. That closed, and we created an email for them to submit it electronically. They didn't have to bring it to me, and we printed it. My homework this weekend, along with Nettie Jackson, is to read all of those surveys. I have to tell you, I started last night. They are absolutely amazing. Our students can write, and they came in typed, well-written, flowing. I was a former, Miss Horn, we were former language arts people.
I know.
Clear opening sentences, clear reasons, clear
EWR.
They are making this so hard.
Yeah.
So that committee, though, so the next piece will be looking to get 4 per grade. And, so everyone won't be able to get on this. So I've read the first round last night. I'm reading again this weekend. They will then get a letter from me inviting them, congratulations. And before school ends, I'm going to be meeting with that group. My point for all of this is that is the group too. I'm looking to connect to help with some of this, and they can help brainstorm, giving them voice with me around how they can show leadership in helping the district around some of these things that will bring better support for them as students. So they're going to really get involved. That's one avenue I was thinking, how am I going to bring them in, how they can help with that in a safe way. So a lot of talking, I know, but that's another level I'm excited about and look forward to seeing them more throughout the year. That body I will meet with once a month. I have a structure in mind of how that's going to happen during the day. Parents of those students will know, and we'll do all that piece and all of that when that's formulated. The board will hear about that, my full sort of a schedule of dates, but exciting things with students getting voice. And they all said to me in those essays, I can bring voice to the concerns and or the issues in Greenburgh. I think I can contribute to make it better. I've been here since pre-K. I know this district. I just said, whoo, this is going to be tough. So great job. Great. So all of that to say, yes, Trustee Warner and Trustee Thomas. Kids are I'm gonna find a way to get them engaged in this from their level that's safe. And I'll stop sharing. So you're back up, Dr.
Okay, so you want me to do the Edgemont Incorporation?
Yes, and that's the next, if you want to go back to that.
Edgemont Incorporation may significantly increase property taxes in an unincorporated Greenburgh, including our school district. This will negatively impact taxpayers and make school budget and bond passage more difficult. On we have a Board of Education resolution from February 28th, which requests that the state controller provide a financial impact statement prior to any incorporation vote, and that the vote include the entire town, including impacted school districts. So if the tax base that has been supporting the town and their underlying services is not there, you're going to expect a combination of layoffs, including a lot of members of the community, and raised taxes. So if our taxpayers are paying more to the town to support things because the other communities aren't there to support things, then it'll be harder for us to pass a bond. It'll be harder for us to pass a budget. So we passed a resolution saying, okay, we've got to reform the process. And there's an outside group called the Saving Greenburgh Coalition, and we've been to a meeting of theirs, and the superintendent has spoken at it. The board president has spoken at it. Well, they're going to have another one. The Saving Greenburgh Coalition opposes Edgemont Incorporation and is holding a meeting at the Sacred Heart School Gymnasium at 59 Wilson Street in Hartsdale this Tuesday, June 13th, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if you are interested in attending and learning more about this important issue, that's again at the Sacred Heart School Gymnasium at 59 Wilson Street in Hartsdale this Tuesday, June 13th, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, so what do we have left? So the next thing up is starting to come up with a schedule for next year's meetings. We do not currently have the district calendar yet, but our thoughts are that we can. I'm not sure whether it's better to either A, come up with dates for that we think we want to go throughout the year, or just to come up with our September meeting date, and by then we would have the rest of the calendar, and then to come up with the additional dates then. What's everybody's thoughts on whether A or B is a better option?
I don't know which is better. I just know that it's most important to have scheduled dates. Going back and forth at the end of meetings is not good. Not that this committee did that. You didn't. You had the dates already, outlined. But that is the best way to do it. So whether you do it right now, which I don't think you can do, as you said, it's probably better to wait till September to make the actual dates. And these are the dates that people who want to participate will commit to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, so I'm a little torn because I'm an old guy. So that printed calendar that goes out in to people usually in past years has had our meeting dates in it, and that means people know that our meetings are there. If everything is electronic and online, then that option B looks pretty good to me. But as long as there's still a significant number of people looking at that printed calendar, I'd rather set one meeting date, give you some rules, and because we're not going to have another meeting, give you some rules, and then Ivy Kraus is going to come back within about a week with that preliminary calendar, and you can take our set of rules and do the best you can with it, and then email us, because you've got the email addresses of all the committee members, right? So then email us what you think the dates should be, and then we can say we like it or we don't like it, because it's equivalent to scheduling meetings, which you're allowed to do in emails anyway, right? So so we'll just tell you, what day of the week do we like? Do we want a mixture of doing stuff on the weekends and the weekdays? Do we like do a lot of stuff via Zoom? Do we want to do stuff in person more? Give you some rules, and then you can just set out our monthly meeting for next time, and maybe the Greenburgh, do we like the art show? Things like that. That's what I.
Okay, so for clarity's sake, you're saying don't necessarily do any of it in this moment, but
Right.
when the calendar comes out,
Right.
take into consideration, I like the Wednesday. At one point we tried to do like first Wednesday. I think we started with first Wednesday of the month, and then there was some creep here or there that wound up changing it. So I can use that as our kind of foundation, and then pick a couple of weekends throughout the year. I'll look back at what we did this year, and then take into consideration whatever it is that shows up on the calendar that will be coming out next week.
So first Wednesday of the month, 2 weekend meetings, and events. Did you like the art show?
I love the art. Yeah, I definitely love the art show.
All right, so that's in the spring. Is there something we want to do in the fall?
What we do in the fall?
I'm just curious, did we meet the first Wednesday of the month this year? Was it always the first Wednesday, or is that what you're suggesting?
What wound up, it was not. Maybe it was the second Wednesday. I would have to go back and look, because most of the time it wound up being mid-month that we met. So maybe it was the second or third Wednesday.
Yeah. Only because I know I do have a commitment the first Wednesday, and I don't remember missing that.
Okay, so the second Wednesday is better than first Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't remember missing that other commitment. So that's what I'm thinking. So okay. I'm just saying.
Okay, so we'll look at second Wednesdays of every month, and I'll go back and check when we did the schedule last year, just to see what governed our decision then, and kind of utilize the same ideas.
Well, we had let's see.
Sorry. It seems to me that when we put things on the paper calendar and then have to shift them throughout the year, it creates more confusion, because now we have 2 potential meeting dates and 2 places where that information is different. I agree with David. It's great to get it on the paper, but I wouldn't want to get it on the paper at the expense of creating confusion, disconnect, communication issues. It's been a problem since COVID, because we've had to be so flexible, but we've still had this paper calendar, and now we can barely trust it because so many things shift. So I would like to just consider in this committee whether it's worth it to go with the first option of setting the September date and then using the calendar to plug ourselves in and relying on the digital version for people to stay up to date, as opposed to, I'm not terribly opposed to setting the date at second Wednesday of every month minus events. I think that's fine, but I would like to just have a bit of a discussion whether we think that we can commit to that, or whether we still need that flexibility of shifting the dates. And if so, I think we lose community members by creating that confusion.
It's a really good point. Particularly that I mean, this is something that we Dave, you look like you want to say something. I was just gonna say it's a good point.
I want to say, what's causing the instability? That's my question. Because it's not us going, oh, we want to do this day. No, we want to do this day. It's not the CEC waffling all over the place. The old process worked when things were relatively stable. So what has destabilized, and is it gonna get better, or is it gonna stay unstabilized? Samantha, what do you think is causing the chaos?
Well, there were I think 2 times this year that I made the change without, because I don't look at the physical calendar at all, and you're putting in my head that I probably should, but there were 2 times this year where I couldn't meet on whatever the day was and needed to make adjustments myself. So that was on me.
So 2 times it's us. Okay.
I do think there's a little bit of a sea change in the move to digital meetings, that if we're planning to meet in person and there's a snowstorm, we can go digital, or we can move the date, or we can switch the time. There's an expectation that there's more flexibility built in, because we know he only does this when I talk. We have, the world has a little more flexibility. Jamal's not feeling well. If there's an event come up for one of the PTAs, if there's some reason not to meet, we have the flexibility to shift. And I think,
want to take our meetings off of the calendar altogether, because the calendar will get printed with or without our meetings.
it's a good question.
If you want to take off the calendar, because they print over the summer, right? So if we wait till September, we're off the calendar. If you think, oh gosh, let's just put the art show on the calendar because it's worth having.
But
Well, I guess it's worth
we don't know when the
considering.
art show is going to be now, right? Like or you're saying decide.
The town wants you to schedule way in advance. So you go to Sarah Bracy White now and say, what do you got for me late next year? And she finds a spot, and then we get the town hall main room, right? Because we're far enough in advance, and then we get the hallway, and then we have the date, and it's set in stone, and then the town has to provide that facility for us.
So Trustee Warner, yesterday, Ivy and I just talked about this. We have a meeting Wednesday, so right now what principals should be doing is with their PTAs, getting from the PTA, because they were told by me, when you come to this meeting on Wednesday, all of them, it's a 2-hour meeting going month by month, day by day, have on the calendar, Ivy sent them, the dates your PTA wants, the dates that you want to do this, that, and the other. So we can first see the vertical alignment. So that's not something scheduled at Jackson and Highview the same night that makes splits parents, something like that. So we can start that piece, so that, because a big piece was all of that this year. There's a piece that things do come up, changes from the state in testing that we don't know yet, that when we get, there could be something on the calendar and the schools have to change. So there's a piece of having to be flexible that's still going to have to be there. And in fact, I said to Ivy, when this is ready, at the top of every calendar, every page, we want to have a little disclaimer that dates that are on here my message to the administrators, these are the dates. But we do need a disclaimer that let me finish my thought, that there could be some things that show up that we may have to make a change if there's things that come up from the state and others that those dates we have no choice about, especially when it comes to testing. And that happened this year, where there were some things on the calendar. I said to the leaders, arbitrarily changing dates, that stops. So when you bring that to this meeting Wednesday, have in mind, this is what's on the year. And what ends up happening, I'll tell you this, they have all kinds of clubs and associations in their buildings who are doing things, who come up with the date that they don't know right now. Because that depth of thinking or that depth of planning it's not on the calendar yet. It's just the school-wide things. But at the high school, they have all these clubs that want to do something, and then it pulls parents. They look at the calendar. It makes you get a call. Can we move this? Those things are realities that happen. We're going to try to minimize those, but there's so much happening. So what's going to happen again Wednesday? Principals are going to come. Ivy's on that call with me, and we go page by page. And I think she said to me yesterday, Trustee Warner, she spoke with you. We will have a good skeletal of a calendar that you can see then, and then plug in your dates. We're trying to get the systemic, district-wide, school-wide things on that we know already. And then, and I've had Ivy take that on, that normally comes out of the clerk's office. I've given it back to her because she did manage some pieces of it when she was doing sort of both roles. So that because she's meticulous, she's very detail oriented, she's very accurate, efficient, and I put her on it to say we need to make sure this is airtight. So I'm gonna be on the call, but she's gonna run it with the principals and make sure. So we're trying to do better around there. There were some changes made, and so I will tell you what happened. We just got the IB IB testing schedule for next year. That's already conflicting with one of my PD days. We didn't have it when the calendar has to be approved according to policy by April.
Right.
So that date was not a conflict then. So already I said to Ivy yesterday, here we go again. I'm ready to. It's just one of those things. So we got to kind of be understanding of that. But I agree, we need to be more consistent and just not willy-nilly just change dates. And I think so when we get your dates, did Ivy tell you or Trustee Thomas, or was it Warner that she can, if you want, give us all your dates when we meet Wednesday, we can plug them in.
So, I mean, this conversation for me is making me more, err in the direction of what Samantha said. I like the idea of flexibility. Also, like, let's say that there's another event going on, like the way we did the art fair. Being able to say, okay, we're going to jump onto a particular event on a Saturday or something to that effect. I kind of like the idea of, for the committee, having an increased level of flexibility, specifically so that if there's community events, that we can do more of the type of thing that we did with the art fair, and the only way to do that is again to have the flexibility to say that we to your point, these things are subject to change, but coming up in September based on the calendar, not having it in the calendar, so that our flexibility does not get we're never thinking, okay, we don't want to go do that event because hey, calendar says we're doing it this day.
Okay, so there are two different things. There are CEC meetings and there are events. So if you have an event, then if nobody knows that your event is coming, they'll take your space. Okay. So if you want to do something big,
you got to get it on there.
Then you got to get on there. If you want to do something small, like one of these meetings, like us right here, we can be flexible. So you could just not have the CEC monthly meetings on the calendar, but do have the events. What do you think of that?
It works, but so what events would be under our purview? Because last year I didn't schedule any type of events or send anything other than the CEC meetings art show. I don't think the art show wouldn't have been in the calendar because we decided.
We put that together. That was a good example. We put that together last minute. It was not in the calendar. We found a date that was available and scheduled it.
And we got the hallways, but we didn't get the room.
That's right. Because of that.
So, but what other events would we be?
Well, that's a good question because I mean, you remember there was the year when you wanted there to be a large district-wide event, and we were coming out of COVID, and you scheduled it out at the park anyway. That was before you became chair, and you did that one year. We've had the idea of the event in which you have parents from all different school districts, all different schools meet the principals, right? So you get the sense, that there's a continuity from kindergarten to 12. We're not, and then it's likely that people, instead of having this unknown of what's the next school up the line, that we feel like we have an identity as one district and we know what the kids can expect as they go up grade levels.
Mhm.
So I've kind of been an advocate of we should have a big meet the principals event. That was the big deal for me. I don't know what you think.
I think that if you have events, it seems like the district has an awful lot of activities that go on. If the events are like the art show and it's a given and you have that date, then you put that on the calendar. Any other meetings, okay, yes, they can go on the calendar. However, there may be a disclaimer that says possibly, subject to change due to weather
Yeah, it
or
could be
whatever
weather.
whatever else is going on.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, but I agree, like with Dr. Iverson, that that should be on just about each page, monthly page, so that people know. Because I think for me, this year, it's when I didn't know. There was no disclaimer. There was no way to find out. And that, for me personally, unnerves me because I'm kind of,
Yeah.
wait, that's, I'm kind of like that. I'm not like Jamal, a free spirit like that. So I have to have a little bit more structure. That's the word of the day. Structure in my life. So I just like to know, okay, so there's a possibility that it's going to change. Okay, so I already know that. Right? So that's my thinking of it. I'm going to have to say that I have to go. It's been a pleasure working with everybody. I hope everybody has a good summer. Dr. Iverson, I hope to hear from you soon. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I thought Ivy, yes, I'm on
I want to
it.
hear from you soon. And Jamal, I need to talk to you at some point. Everybody have a good summer.
Yes, okay, see you, Ms.
Go on.
Horn. But know this, both Trustee Warner and Thomas, when I meet with the principals Wednesday, we're going to plan those 5 district-wide Art Being One events that we plan to plan, but we're gonna put it on the calendar what date we want to have it, then we'll plan for it. So we're gonna, like, again, this week coming up is the summer fun. Is that something we're gonna do? That's a district-wide kind of getting everyone together, summer fun. We're gonna have on the calendar, we're gonna block out 5 district-wide activities that we plan on having next year. So the art show date will be on the calendar when you see it. We're gonna do something around literacy. There could be another summer fun date will be on there again. We will block that out so that those won't be last minute ad hoc kind of things, so that ahead of time. But barring we don't have a, go ahead.
What's the drop dead date that you need to know for the calendar?
Ivy better knows that. I'll let her out. I'll let her, because she gets it to print and all of that. I don't know that. She's better to answer that. I can find out.
The last thing I was just going to suggest is that I can bring this up in new business during the meeting on the 20th, so that we can have like a quick, what does the rest of the board think, and if more folks say that we want to get it in the calendar, then we'll get it in the calendar. It's like 52-48. I don't feel crazy strongly in either direction. So I think that we meet on the 20th, so I doubt that it would be before the 20th that the information. Got it.
No, because I just meet with them next week, so no, you have until the 20th. Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll bring that up and have something already thought out about what we think will be what we're looking at. So.
Okay, and then the next question is, can we set a September date, or do you need to have a calendar with it to see where there's some openings?
I think we should well, yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yes, we do need to that all of that same stuff can happen
Yes.
after that board meeting, because we have the board meeting and then we have the reorganization meeting. So within that period of time, we can have established this is the exact September date. Either for the calendar, even if it's just that one, but also to announce to the broader community.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is all I have for us. But if there's any other news, upcoming events, questions, comments, concerns that anybody has, now would be the time to share.
I do. Trustee Thomas, I mentioned to you by email, my coming and going to this meeting today is because I was at Highview for the information session for their after-school program provided by United Way. And I did speak to the representatives there from United Way and kind of got a rundown of the program, where it was coming from. What I wanted to bring up today that I think falls under our kind of purview, not to necessarily to do something about, but to keep an eye on, is that we elementary school parents have been offered 2 different after-school programs. There's one that's unique to Highview, and there's one that's K-6 at Jackson. I was so confused. I went to the Highview one today to get the lay of the land. And I can tell you that United Way has received a grant. No money is coming from the district. They have a grant to bring every student up to 3rd grade level. So they want to work with students up to 3rd grade. Now they have some logistical issues getting the kids from Jackson, and I actually had a thought on that, but they need to, if they were going to work with Jackson students, they would have to somehow get them to Highview in time to meet their curriculum, what the start of their program. So that's an issue. So right now it's rolling out just to Highview at 2nd and 3rd grade. It's coming after school. It includes instruction in both math and reading aligned with the district curriculum. And then it includes SEL and soft skills, even career readiness training for our 2nd and 3rd graders in coding and drones and dance and performance and art and all of these super cool things.
Right.
It's an amazing program. Their grant is affording them the opportunity to reach 600 students. They're in Ossining. They want to be in Greenburgh. They have 100 seats right now at Highview. They have the capacity to expand if we had the capacity to expand, but it's all kind of being built underneath as we go. So that's cool. But there's another program that's been offered to elementary students K-6 that is priced at market value. And it's going to be, I think, at Jackson for before care and after care. That's more like a daycare setup as far as I can tell. The information given to parents has been incredibly confusing. The rollout of it, I'll tell you, our principal, I'm in both Highview and Bailey right now, and our principals communicate weekly, more as needed. They send emails, they use school messenger, they do their best. What they send is the flyer. So these 2 incredibly beneficial programs, all I've seen is a flyer. And the only reason that I can say what I just told you is because I pinned down the poor person at Highview who was running this chaotic, absolutely wonderful introductory session today and asked her very pointed questions to get this information. And there's no, I guess my head is full of this because I'm in the middle of it, but I will say that this is an example of the district having something amazing to offer to support our students to do something incredible. And instead of communicating it that way and getting all the parents on board, it's coming in an avalanche of half-formed information. And when I reached back to Ms. Rossi to say, wait, this is K-6, what's going on at Highview? How does this fit? Her answer was genuinely, I don't know. And maybe she shouldn't need to, but then the conversation, the rollout, the information and communication, this is an example of the district communication pipeline.
So can I need to address that because the Healthy Kids is me. I'm rolling that out, the district.
Okay.
And just in contradiction, no, a lot of information prior to the flyer, Ms. Ives, went out. I had my weekly updates from early when we were just beginning to talk about looking at vendors, meeting with partners. That was me, my cabinet, meeting with vendors when from the board got direction that we wanted before and after care here. And that came from parents. So we started that move around January. I've met with 4 or 5 different vendors. When we settled on one, if you go back, and I would encourage parents, and I will do better to get more out, but no information was shared about before and after care from my weekly update. When I first shared, we were looking into that for next year. Then we got closer to me identifying vendors. When I was interviewing, and one of my updates, I'm still interviewing vendors. We have not. I was along the way, I thought, kind of giving information. I don't know if parents can remember reading it. When we identified Healthy Kids, it came home in one of my weekly messages. Again, it wasn't about what it is. We sent home the pricing. It was not just that flyer. Prior to that, so to your point, I just want to make sure I articulate to the community that this flyer was not the first piece of communication they received about before.
You're right, and I apologize. You're absolutely right. It has been in your weekly emails, and I suppose the disconnect for me is that I do read your weekly emails. I read all the information that comes from the district, and I click through the links. So I knew I knew to look that it was coming. What I didn't expect was the United Way coming in at Highview. I honestly thought that was your program because you had been speaking for months about your program. And then within a couple of weeks, your program was announced.
Right.
So it's an example. And this is one of those places where your advocates are your biggest allies and also your biggest pain in the rear end, because I can tell you as an advocate that all I want is to yell from the mountaintops how amazingly we take care of our kids and what incredible opportunities they have. There was, and the reason that I'm again in this particular program is because it's kind of a quintessential moment, right? Not only do we have an incredible opportunity that parents have been asking for, now we have two, but it's happening at the district level, and the only communication from the district that is full of information is your weekly newsletter, which requires links to come through and which is a weekly update for all the schools. You have to kind of put the pieces together. And then when this opportunity from United Way came through for Highview, there was really no differentiation and nothing at the building level of Highview to say, this is a separate and here's what it is and here's how it's funded. And it's not in conflict with the district thing. By the way, here's the district thing. It's all good news and it's not getting through in a positive way. What I hear parents saying is, wait a minute, now there are two. Why is one free and I have to pay for the other one? Or wait a minute, now there are two. No, I'm sorry, I'm not confronting you to answer the question. I'm just telling you what parents are saying. They're saying, wait, well, there's two, but one's only for Highview. It's all good. United Way wants to roll out. They're already in, I think it's Ossining, and they're doing amazing work. They're tracking the kids to measure their improvement toward grade level. It's all good. Yes. But without a very clean line of communication, and again, this is just quintessential, but it's typical of the district that we have such amazing things going on and they get bogged down in the mud of other amazing things we have going on so that nothing gets communicated in its full value. And I don't mean to speak that broadly. We do some amazing things. I know we do. But at the moments where we as a communications committee want to look at where can we do better, this is one of those places. It's a huge undertaking. The rollout could have been much cleaner or maybe still can be. And this is where I think maybe we just need eyes to say, what are we doing? How are we communicating it? How can we do better? Always, how can we do better?
So then is the administration, Dr. Iverson is going to assign somebody to this, and it's going to be a massive cut and paste job of already existing information. You have to plant it somewhere highly visible and send everybody links. Is that what we're looking at? Is it primarily an online thing? Is it people have to add things to their presentations? What's
Well, I mean, I can tell you from having kids in two schools that we get the weekly newsletter, we get principal communications, we get PTA blasts, we get sometimes reminds or letters home from teachers, all of these things to juggle. And I'll tell you, Dr. Iverson, I sometimes don't get to your letter until the end of the weekend because by the time it comes out, I've got a week's worth of paperwork and links to click through. And I know I'm not alone in that as much as I try to get to it. What would help, and maybe where this committee can help, is when we see something that looks like it's going out to multiple parents or multiple schools, maybe this committee brings it up and says, can we keep eyes on this? How can we standardize the language? How can we make sure that the same cut and paste is going from every principal to every teacher to every, so that parents see it in more than one place with the same language? And can we explain to the teachers and principals exactly what it is they're sending so that when the parents say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? They can say, call this office, call this number, or here's an overview of the program, call for more information. There are steps there that are missing.
So on this particular one, Dr. I, would it be possible to either a letter or one of your videos or something to that effect? Just, kind of a heard from the community. We're trying to do some wonderful things around before and after care. Here are the options that we currently have. Here, I think during the board meeting the other night, this came up a little bit where for I guess it's called, what is it called? Higher learning? What's it called? Higher.
Healthy kids.
Healthy kids, sorry, I got
Yes.
that right. So healthy kids, that's the one where there's a certain number of parents that we need to have, otherwise the program's not going to be there at all, correct?
Well, yes. Well, if we don't get the enrollment, they won't run the program. There's no cost, no loss to the district.
So
yes, that's the one that's K through 6. For students and parents who elect to enroll their child in that program. It's at Jackson for the reasons that, because if you could think back to the many conversations we had as a board and administration, it's one location. So students that, who are not in those grades, who are in those grades, go to that location for, say, drop off, even pick up. And our transportation picks them up when it's time to get to their schools and transports them. We did not want pre-K included, and this was a very deliberate decision because they're young, and they would have to board another bus because our pre-K kids are in 2 sites. So those pre-K kids who say parents take advantage of this pre-K or this early drop-off, who are at Jackson, would have no problem. When it's time to go to class, they walk down the hall but the kids in grades 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pre-K at ECP, which wasn't equitable to all pre-K, those pre-K kids will have to get 4 3-year-olds on a bus, and we transport them across town to their site. The inequitable piece around just pre-K alone was there because some don't have that, and those parents will have the luxury at Jackson to just have their kids walk down the hall. Those parents whose kids aren't at Jackson will have to have their kids get on a bus. They're at work, and they have to get on. So it was too much for pre-K. We thought, let them start at K. Plus pre-K starts at 9 o'clock, 9:15. Healthy kids is out of there. They're gone before when Jackson starts their day, they're gone. So it just didn't work for pre-K because of that. And we didn't want that inequity. So it's K to 6. So those kids whose parents take advantage in those grades other than Jackson, K and 1, they are there, say 6 o'clock, 7, whatever time the drop-off times are. And then our bus will pick them up and get them to Highview, and they're older. So we couldn't have a site in every building, but they don't have the staff for that. So it is a before and after care. I'm taking notes, but we thought they're 2 separate programs. This is not an after-school program. This is a before and after care. United Way is an after-school program, and because it's United Way and it's their grant, and they stipulated the grade they wanted to work with. There was no cost to us. They're bringing it to us. And they're going to really be pulling in newcomers, those kids who are new to the state or new to the country without the language, to help build those skills. It's their program. They wanted to bring it to Greenburgh. And so they stipulated grade. And so since it's 3rd, it had to be Highview. We are just providing a site and our students. The curriculum and all is just them. So we shared information on that, I think, too, a while ago. What ended up being the gap, because they had a lot of work United Way had to do to get the site license, to do all the pieces. So for a while, there was no, Ms. Ives, you're right, no communication. When they finally got that, end of the year, we're trying to get it out to parents. So that's why it's a weekend even meeting, get people to hear about it, because the timing that they needed to work on their paperwork was longer than they expected. And we weren't able to roll it out and get it out because we hoped to start it this year. We really did. But United Way ran into some logistical problems because, again, it wasn't even us. We were sitting waiting on them to say, when are you going to start? We're ready. When can you? And they finally got their pieces together. So it is disjointed. I get that piece in terms of now we're rushing in a way. It does have that flair to, at least because we want to start it in the fall. School is at the end. So we got to get it to parents. So this is why the weekend was scheduled. They were willing to come in, but well, they want the business. So they came in. We had to open up our buildings, get out something to the parents to say, hey, We are going to be doing this in the fall. Here it is. You heard about it, I don't know, and earlier. Now we're ready to talk about it. Inadvertently, it comes out the same time they getting the flyer about Healthy Kids, who's now registering kids. They're registering families because they need to get numbers for the fall. So a lot of this is the precursor to the fall to see if we're going to be able to run that program. And so those two events just simultaneously came together at the same time. And it looks confusing. I understand completely. And kind of commingled that some can misinterpret both were after school programs when there is an after school component, but different focus.
Right.
So I get how we need to do better at that, but that's what I'm hearing was how it looks very messy and muddled.
Right.
Again, it goes back to all that we talk about flexibility and in terms of, and just us being able to control what we can control and what we can't. We're working with outside entities who have their pieces to do. Healthy Kids also had to get a license. They came in and had to measure Jackson. All that's been going on behind the scene. I met them over there. They had to measure the room. They had to look at the facility. Those things have been going on behind the scene. Then they got their license with the work in our building. The contract had to go to our attorneys. United Way's contract had to go to our attorneys. They had to vet it. They had to go back. That went back and forth. So the process takes so long. Then when it comes out late, do we wait till September and then start not have it in place? So the timing is just what it is. But I completely hear. I think what you have, Ms. Ives, is a good suggestion on how we can try to explain it better, and so that they see the distinct difference in the two. They're not alike. They have different purposes, and it's for different populations, and for good reasons. United Way is not for any other grade but grade 3. That's it. K6 is for aftercare. And so why is not United Way not at the other grades? Because United Way said we're only going to do it this way. If you want it, which we do, it's a good, this is the way it has to be. So these aren't district run programs, although they're in our district. So we don't control some of the narrative. We were very much involved, and you better believe it, in the meetings about what we wanted. But this is a service that we aren't paying for, that they're bringing great, like you said, Ms. Ives, great opportunities to our kids. So I get we have to do a better way of sharing that good news. And I'm thinking, Ms. Ives, about some kind of a chart, because this came up from one of the public comments, where we just list all our programs and kind of just put that, you know how you put all the information so it explains it?
Right.
And everyone can clearly see the differences and see the, you just put the program and then you put the what, when, where, who, how, why, and all of that. And it kind of in one document kind of gives all the information. You think that would help, Ms. Ives?
Yeah, I do. I love visuals. I love graphics. I think that's great. And I think there's a line between over communicating and under communicating, and something like these aftercare and United Way, we need more details, but it almost needs to be crafted so that we can very concisely say, here's the population. And there are equity issues too. I asked very pointedly, can United Way support our kids who have a one-to-one and an aid and need physical or emotional or academic needs? And they said yes. And they explained to me how they get their one-to-one in place. They can do that. I don't know about aftercare. There are considerations for parents. When United Way goes till 7 p.m. Do they have early pickup? Yes. Additionally, they have a separate grant to give the parents a lift, LYFT. They can pay to have a lift come get you so you can get to the school to pick up your kid. That's a totally different amount of money. They have it. It's there. You can take advantage of it. These are things that are in place that could be bulleted. And then the other program can be bulleted. And, the other program's great. You have more than one kid. You have a Jackson kid and a Bailey kid. You can have them in one aftercare. That's amazing. It buses. That's amazing. What do they offer? What don't they offer? Can we see it side by side? Would be super cool. I understand that's a lot of work on us because the information they're going to give us may not align with a chart that we want to put together. But yeah, I do think we need that kind of consideration. Anytime we have something new, anytime that bridges schools, because we're going to hear one thing from one principal and one thing from another principal, and neither one of them wants to get it wrong. So they both say, I don't know, and they do their best. They communicate so well, but trying to talk between schools it requires some mental gymnastics. Yeah, I think we need to give our parents the benefit of the doubt, especially with new programs, especially when things are happening across the community. And this is kind of the perfect instance to flex our muscles and try. And I
Right.
haven't seen us try to the extent that I want us to yet.
And I think the only one thing I wanted to just call that came up from the other night is the idea of the other program, like us having an understanding of we need to have 20 students or 50 students or by X date, or the program won't be available at all. So that as part of people's planning process, you know, I don't know what that date should be or needs to be, or if we have that information from the organization. But if we can
Well,
get in whatever communication as well, that would be awesome.
yeah, and I'd like us to keep in mind on behalf of the younger students' parents that United Way does not charge a fee. It's targeted for only these students and it has a very specific goal and funding purview. The other one is market value for childcare. What I would hate is some parent to sign up and agree to pay $10,000 when they could have had their kid at United Way and they find out about it too late, and that falls on the district, because really it's going to fall on the district. Or the other way around, they've got one kid at United Way and one kid at Jackson, and they didn't know that the other kid, that the Highview kid could have gone to Jackson, and it saves them multiple pickups. There are logistical issues that we as parents are trying to figure out now for our younger students, and the district can really support that with the more information we can give as early as possible.
Okay, I think we know what needs to happen.
Mhm.
Dr. Iverson, do you have staff to do that?
Oh, yeah, to put something together like that, that would be my cabinet and my staff who's over these various pieces, you know, and I have staff that can do that. I wasn't asking you, the committee, to do it. I mean, I hear the charge. I can go back and see how we can articulate that better. And again, starting with putting some kind of a grid together that answers these key questions. So if there's no answer to that particular question around that particular program, there'll be NA. So you can clearly see what each one has, the cost of each, what happens here, just those pertinent kind of it's like a FAQ and it was think about it in a grid that where you list all the programs and you list that pertinent information about each one, so that you can read it vertically and horizontally across, and it's just one document that encompasses all of our programs. I'm hoping this new senior director position we're in the process of interviewing for, as you know, you may not know, but we are. This will be something that person will be over as well, coordinating and pulling together and creating documents like that, that will articulate very clearly all of our programs, whether paid for by the district or not, population, cost, numbers, enrollment, start, end times, just those pertinent. Maybe this committee can give, maybe Ms. Ives, if you can, from the feedback you're getting, send me key questions that need to be included or information, so that can be embodied in this document. That would help. That would help. That you're hearing from parents. What are some of the things, and the chart will show enough so you clearly will be able to see where there is an overlap and where there is not, or so there's a better way to make decisions around that. I mean, I will say we have a lot of competing things happening across the district. I don't think it's as neat as we would like it or ever will be, where there won't be some places and some overlap where sometimes a choice may have to be made, especially at the high school around some of the sports. You know, we have children and they're so good. They want to be in everything that overlaps, but yet there's an after school program around maybe ACT that you also need to be in, that you want to be in. So, you know, I don't know how we are going, how we make sure we make everything available to all kids at the same time, when there are some things that run simultaneously, and it sometimes comes down to a choice. But we, as much as possible, try not to do that. I tell we don't want parents have to say, should I go to this program or not that program? That we don't want. We want you to see your children wherever they are in programs. But the vendors and people who provide support and programs have their hours and stipulations as well. And sometimes there will be, and we will work, there will be some overlap in how we may not be able to take advantage of everything. And that's unfortunate, but we'll do better. If you send me what those concerns are, we will put at least something together to inform parents that so they clearly see the difference. I'll even include the rationale, the purpose of what this program is, so they can see the focus. So, and not to confuse before and after care with an after school program. Although I get it, it is after school. And
So,
it seems
Dr.
like a
Dr.
program.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I actually have to run. So if I
Okay.
don't know if we're gonna you guys can keep on going, and I just
No,
want,
I think I got the charge. I'll look for something. Did you want me, because we don't meet anymore, so I'll just do it. And did you want me to send it to this committee first before you go, or just take this?
I don't think it has to go through the committee. I think that you know
Blast it out there.
yeah, we trust you. we trust you.
Oh,
Right, and then the principals, the PTAs will all start bringing it up and showing it to everybody at all their meetings, and it will just be this great and wonderful thing.
all right,
Yeah.
I'll get working on it as soon as possible with all the people in my departments to find out what needs to be in this chart. And Ms. Ives, please, if you have questions or you have the things you think, send them to me when you get some time to think about it, and so I can
I
make
will.
sure it's comprehensive.
Sure, thank
Because
you.
I'm
I'll do
sure
that.
I probably will forget some stuff. Okay,
Yeah, thank
So-
you.
all
So
right, thank you.
Thank everybody
right.
for the entire year of
Thank you, Trustee
being in
Thomas.
community with you guys and learning a bit more about our community and how we continue to connect and communicate and we'll keep on putting one foot in front of the other and improving as best that we all can collectively. And I really appreciate working with all you guys and look forward to getting it started again in September.
Nice
Thank
job,
you.
Jamal. I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I will second. There you go.
Yeah,
Thank you for
okay.
everything.
Have a good
Bye.
day, everybody.
Thank
Goodbye.
you, everybody.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
1:01 p.m.
All right, I'm ending the stream.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye now.